Okay, so now we're going to fill out the second column in your worksheet over here under possible genotypes. So the first column is the trait that we did. So let's look at the first one, can roll tongue, cannot roll tongue. So you should have written under my phenotype either 1 or 2, all right, because you're supposed to write the bold number. So me, I can roll my tongue. So that is number 1. So I would have a 1 here, okay? Now the possible genotypes, okay? Remember, phenotype is what you can actually see. You can see me roll my tongue, all right? Therefore, the phenotype is, yes, I can roll my tongue. The genotype, though, is what you can't see. That's the alleles. That's what's inside of the genes coding for the fact that I can roll my tongue. So, the genotype on this one, when we look at can roll tongue, we'll see it up here, we see that the alleles that we're using the letter T. We're using the same letter for both, as we're supposed to. We see that can roll tongue is capital T, so that means that trait is dominant. Cannot roll tongue is lowercase t, that means that trait is recessive. I can roll my tongue, so my possible genotypes are actually 2. Because remember, we have 2 alleles, but each combination, as long as there's a dominant allele there, is going to show. So my genotype could be capital T, capital T. I got 1 big T from my mom and 1 big T from my dad. Or it could be capital T, little t. Okay? So I could have gotten a dominant T from my mother or father and then a recessive T from my mother or father. But as long as I have 1 capital letter allele, 1 dominant allele, that trait is going to show. That is going to be my phenotype. Okay? Now, let's go down to the next one. Free earlobe. For me, as we determined in the earlier video, I'm attached. So attached is number 2. That's my phenotype. That's what you actually see. Okay? Next, we have to go to the possible genotypes for this. Now, we look on here and we see free earlobe is capital F. That means it's dominant. Attached earlobe is lowercase f. That means that's a recessive trait. That also means I cannot possibly have a dominant allele in my allele pair for this trait to show up. Because if I had a genotype of this, my phenotype would be free earlobe. Okay? Because again, capital F is dominant. If my genotype was capital F, well, obviously that's also going to be free earlobe, the dominant, okay? Free. So the only combination left for me to have, if I have an attached earlobe that is a recessive trait, is lowercase f. That is attached. Okay? So that is my genotype. There's only 1 possible genotype for this trait if I am recessive. So as you go through your second column, if you are dominant in that column, then you will have 2 possible genotypes, 2 capital alleles or a capital and a lowercase allele. If you are recessive for that trait, then you will always only have 1 genotype, and that is lowercase.